President Biden is coming up to our area. He's going to be visiting some of the hardest hit areas for Ida. We're talking about New Jersey and New York, at least in the Northeast. People in the Northeast are still, in fact, picking up the pieces after Ida killed dozens of people. The storm caused catastrophic flooding, tornadoes, and other major damage throughout the region. So you can see here in Manville, New Jersey, the storm leveled homes, leaving piles of rubble and debris, and really not much else. 11 people drowned because of intense flooding in Queens, New York. Mr. Biden will speak there this afternoon, pushing for the passage of both his infrastructure bills as they make their way through Congress. Meantime, the FEMA administrator as well as elected officials from New York got a firsthand look at the devastation yesterday.
And what we saw today was absolutely heartbreaking, the amount of damage and destruction that these families have experienced.
We need to start addressing many of the concerns that were brought up here around our sewer infrastructure, the back flooding, so that we can make sure that this doesn't happen again, with infrastructure investment that we're currently seeking right now in Washington.
All right, so more on the president's trip now and where the infrastructure bills stand at this point. I want to bring in Nancy Cordes. Nancy, I feel like it's been a long time since I've gotten a chance to speak to you. I'm glad you're here this morning. What can we expect during President Biden's trip to New York and New Jersey today?
Well, good morning. It is great to be with you, Anne Marie. He's going to be heading to New York and New Jersey to tour hard-hit areas from Hurricane Ida. He's going to go to Queens and New York. He is going to go visit a command center. He is going to tout everything that his administration has been doing to help people who were hard hit by Hurricane Ida. And he is going to make a case for those two major infrastructure packages, one that has already been voted on by the Senate, another that is still being crafted in the House, that he and many other lawmakers argue will be instrumental in helping to make communities more resilient the next time a major storm hits, because we know it is when, not if. And so, you know, he has a sort of a unique opportunity, given the devastation that we saw all the way up the eastern seaboard from the Gulf, to talk about the things that Congress and the administration could do to help some of these communities, including communities that still don't have power all these days later.
Yeah, and you know, the big question is, how do we protect these communities from the next storm? And we already know that there's a hurricane sort of churning off the East Coast, probably not going to have the same impact that Ida did by the time it reaches up here. But there are concerns. There are concerns about, you know, storm surge and that sort of thing. Congressional committees are meeting this week to start formally drafting the $3.5 trillion infrastructure bill. What will be in this bill, and will it have an impact on these major weather events? Will it be the sort of stuff that could protect some of these communities?
Democrats say it will. They say that they are looking to address some of the root causes of climate change. They're talking about reducing the carbon footprint, embracing energy efficiency. The challenge is going to be that this bill does a lot more than that. It has to do with child care. It has to do with paid family leave. It has to do with education, making community college more affordable. It is really sort of a soup to nuts of administration priorities, progressive priorities, broadening the safety net from the moment that Americans are born until their older years. It beefs up Medicare and even provides tax credits for elder care and the like. So this is a massive piece of legislation, as you pointed out, somewhere in the realm of $3.5 trillion. It is still being crafted. It is unlikely to get Republican support because it is so big. Republicans say the money doesn't exist for a major broadening of the social safety net that Democrats envision. And so the big challenge, in addition to just writing this and crafting it, is holding the entire Democratic Party together to ultimately pass it, especially when you've already got some Democrats expressing some uneasiness, saying they want to slow things down. A few notable moderates like Joe Manchin of West Virginia, who say, hey, wait a minute, I might think that this is a little too big too. Perhaps we should start slow walking it.
Yeah, they're going to need every single Democratic vote. But in the meantime, there is a bipartisan infrastructure bill. And this one, we have a better idea, more specific idea of how the money will be spent. Is there anything in that bill that addresses climate change and extreme weather?
Yeah, there's quite a lot, actually. You know, it's a smaller bill. It doesn't contain everything that Democrats wanted, but it does contain a lot of measures, as you would imagine in any infrastructure bill, that really make the nation's infrastructure more resilient to storms, to climate change, you know, to improve roads and bridges and rail and the water system and the electrical grid. These are the kinds of things that you can envision being incredibly helpful anytime there is a major storm that wipes out either the electrical system or the water system temporarily. So what Republicans are arguing is, you know, let's just go ahead and pass that, not wait for the other big Democratic bill, because at least we can start to get moving on something. But Democrats argue this is really a 1-2 punch, that you really need both of these major pieces of legislation if you want to address not just the problems that we see in the aftermath of these big storms, but if you want to get at the root causes of why these storms are happening with greater frequency, greater furiosity in the first place.
Before we let you go, this is a pretty unique situation. We have a First Lady who is returning to work. She's returning to in-classroom teaching. What can you tell us about that?
That's right. She is the First Lady to work outside of the West Wing. Jill Biden is going back to the classroom as a teacher. That's notable because she spent the last semester, as so many teachers did, teaching remotely. But she is now going back every Tuesday and Thursday for the next 13 weeks to the Alexandria campus of Northern Virginia Community College, where she teaches English composition. This is something that we know is very, very near and dear to her heart. She talks about it a lot. Her husband talks about it a lot. And according to reporters who have looked into this, Anne Marie, her classes are already full. So she appears to be quite a popular professor as well.
You know, I think it really does also, it serves the administration in that it delivers a very strong statement about how we can still move forward, even though we're still trying to get a handle on this pandemic. Even though the challenge of the Delta variant is still there, we can still get back to some of the things that we used to do before that are particularly important, especially the way kids learn. And it's not just about, you know, hammering out a policy upon high. It's, you know, the First Lady's in there in the classroom and, you know, taking all the precautions that every other teacher that is going back to the classroom is doing as well.
And it's a sign of how hopeful everyone is that kids will be able to remain in the classroom, whether they're 5 years old, whether they're in community college throughout this entire semester. We're already seeing some school districts have to change their rules, have to switch to remote because of coronavirus cases. And of course, the hope is that we can get this pandemic under control sooner rather than later so that every kid can be back in the classroom where they belong.
Yeah, indeed. Nancy, thank you so much.
You're welcome.